Hey everyone. So I just wanted to share, if anyone's taken a look at my website, you may have seen I've had a couple different names in this particular lifetime, and I just want to share a little and clarify. And I don't like to draw too much to attention to my personal life. Just share it when it's relevant to the teaching. But I kind of feel like this one is a little bit important, and you'll see why in a moment. So I was born Arthur Paul Burton III. That was my legal name. I was given the same name as my father and grandfather. And so to avoid confusion, they called me Bert when I was a kid. And so I was Bert Burton for the first 7 years of my life. And then my father died. And um, I remember one night I was lying awake in bed. Of course, I was in a lot of pain from him. I don't like the word died, but leaving his body. Of course, to me, at that age, I just thought he was dead and gone. I didn't really have a spiritual understanding. And I said, Bert's a kid's name. I want to be Paul, which was my middle name and was the name my father went by. So, um, it's interesting in hindsight. I feel like that was very much an evil, negative thought that I took in and said yes to. Bert, I mean, it is and it isn't a kid's name, but the timing was strange and taking on my father's name right after he died. Um, it just didn't make sense, and it certainly wasn't coming from my heart. And it was a rash decision. It was like, Bert's a kid's name. I want to be called Paul. Didn't think about it, didn't reflect on it, just said yes to it. And my family was willing to go along with it. Um, so you can see here that why it's so important to check our thoughts. In hindsight, I'm utterly convinced that was a very, not very, but definitely a dark thought that was not from God, certainly from the evil side. And I think there was something about doing that that sort of kept me from dealing with or grieving the loss of my father. I don't know, but regardless, it was definitely not a guided good thought. And so I was Paul Burton for the next almost about 18 years of my life. And then I got involved in a cult. And that's part of my spiritual journey. And oh boy, I learned so much what not to do. Bruno Groening said all of our problems stem from listening to other people and not listening to or following or being guided by God. And boy, was that true. I basically surrendered to someone who had a lot of personality problems, who appeared to be this bright being, but really was not. And so I made it out of there, and then I went back to the cult again, and then I made it out again, and I joined another cult, but a less harmful one in some ways. But this cult was a little bit healthier in that, it pointed some really profound spiritual truths. And while I was there, I had a very deep spiritual awakening and was given the name Seth. And so I took on that name. And then I was Seth from 1999 all the way to 2016. So even though I left that group, I really loved the name. I sometimes think of going back to it. And I felt that I just needed to cut all connection. Well, I was grateful for the name and grateful that that cult got me out of the other cult. I felt that I just wanted to cut all connection. And so I prayed for a new name. And the name that came to me was Truth. And I was like, whoa, that can't be my name. But the funny thing is, I've been thinking about taking that name in Sanskrit for many years. It's Satya in Sanskrit, which means the truth or divine truth. And in Indian culture, which I have a lot of respect for, it's okay to name your children after God or after the different aspects of God. It's very obviously taboo here in the West, but I said no, I can't have the name Truth. And Then I just kept praying, and it came again. Like, I think my name is Truth. And I'm like, no, no, that's too arrogant. Um, and then one day I was introducing myself to someone, and I said, "Hi, my name is. I think my name is Truth." And then I was at this group of people, very, very beautiful people, and they're like, "Okay, Truth. Hi, good to meet you." And so since then, I've been using that name, Truth. Um, And it's been quite a journey. It has been quite a journey. I had no idea what that word meant. I had no idea. And what I can honestly say now that word means is the divine truth that liberate the word truth with a capital T, not me. I don't think I'm the truth, but the truth with a capital T, divine truth is literally that which frees us from the teaching, the idea that frees us from all suffering. I'm utterly convinced that the truth is that all of us are inherently divine and good. And the truth is that God is utterly and completely reliable, dependable. Of these things, I am utterly convinced. I don't think anyone can convince me out of them. Good luck trying. I mean, if I'm wrong, I want the truth. But those things are that which I am utterly convinced of. And I can honestly say at this point, I would rather die than believe the opposite. I would rather die than believe God is not utterly and completely reliable. That's kind of for me the deepest truth. I'm uh, I'm utterly convinced that I am a child of God and that there's a part of me that is completely pure and can't be tainted. But I think really for me the fundamental truth is that um, what I mean by like the most absolute important truth is that God is utterly and completely reliable. All good, only good. And of course, that means that everything that happens in this world is part of the divine plan. That's why it's so important because all of my suffering, I've suffered a lot in this life. And a big part of that suffering comes from having believed that something shouldn't be happening or that something is um, it's like I would use things that would happen as somehow proof that God didn't exist. Well, I was wrong, utterly and completely wrong. Everything serves the good, everything serves as a lesson. This is my truth. And then the other, that's the truth, capital T truth. And my personal truth is that I'm alive by grace. I've been so near to death so many times. This has been a very challenging life, and I am alive by grace. End of story. That's what I consider capital T truth, and that's what my personal truth is. And the teachings of Bruno Groening and Bruno Groening's help and the practice of tuning in saved my life when my body was falling apart in 2012, and then have kept me alive from 2013. It's still going on, but to a lesser extent because I feel I have my foundation from 2013 to up to this day. My life has been very challenging. There's been a lot that's happened, and it's Bruno Groening, his teaching, and tuning in. And actually, all of you sharing these teachings, sharing this energy has just literally been part of that which has saved my life. So, friends, that's been my journey with names. And as you can see, my journey with names is deeply connected to the teachings of Bruno Groening. And I share all this because I'm thinking about, just generally introducing myself as Bert and for my close friends. And that could be any one of you. That's up to you to decide, people who feel comfortable with it calling me Truth. But I haven't decided. But I'm also sharing this because there's going to be a global meditation for all Bruno Groening friends, and I'll announce it in another video. And on there, I'll be announced. I'm going to announce myself as I'll be announced as Seth, and I'll say my name is Seth, and my spiritual name is Truth, because I've changed names so many times. I don't, this person first met me as Seth, the person who's leading it, and I've changed names so many times that I don't expect people to keep up anymore. And you're also welcome to call me Arthur, which is my legal name, which is on my website. So again, I don't like to sort of, this channel is for me to share the energy and teachings of Bruno Groening, and I like to be honest, that I'm not a saint or guru, but I don't like to, this isn't a blog. So I don't share a lot about myself often because I don't consider it a blog. But I do feel that I just wanted to be transparent with everyone about all these different names and what's been going on, and there's probably a change on the horizon, and to say you're welcome to call me any of the above, and if you have a nickname that you like better, call me by that. Having been on my 5th name, I'm pretty unattached to names. Thanks so much, beautifuls, and yeah, the word truth is, I had no idea. The truth is sacred beyond words, and in my good moment, I don't consider myself the truth. And that's one of the other reasons I'm thinking of announcing myself not with truth, because some people have a real reaction to it. They think that I think I'm Jesus. They think I'm making some exaggerate claims about myself, and I struggle with arrogance. So there are moments where it sort of feeds that. So, but regardless, call me what you want, any of the above, or come up with your own nickname for me. I love nicknames. Maybe that's why I've changed my name 5 times. And thank you all so much. Your participation on this channel is such a gift to me. Take care. Much love.